Well, good evening, and we welcome you out to JJ Winn's here in Holiday City. We are live on what is a special night, what is going to be a fun night for just baseball fans, and I think Cleveland Guardians fans as well, as we are going to be talking with one of the voices of Cleveland Guardians baseball that you hear each and every year right here on B-Rock, Jim Rosenhaus. I'm Adam Gubernath alongside Jim. Good seeing you. Nice to put a face with the name finally. Thanks for the time here. How about that?
Adam, great to meet you, and great to see all the fans coming out again. It's been a yearly thing almost for a while now, and always fun to come out and talk baseball, especially on a night like tonight and at this time of year to talk some baseball with only 2 weeks to go until pitchers and catchers report.
It's just crazy to think how quickly the baseball calendar starts to go forward once we get into the new year. Let's talk a little bit about your background a little bit. I kind of like to break it down in a couple of segments, if you will, for lack of a better word, kind of talk about you, baseball in general, and kind of your experiences in Cleveland. And then I know we've got a lot of Guardians fans, especially out here tonight, that want to talk specific questions about the team and everything. And later on, for those that are in the audience, we're going to be passing around some cards where you can ask some questions. And so we'll be able to talk specifically about the team. But for those, Jim, that maybe don't know your background, tell us a little bit about yourself. We were talking before we went on here. Sounds like a little bit of connection to the city of Buffalo as well.
Yes, I moved here from Buffalo, where I was working for the AAA club at the time for Cleveland. And this will be my 18th season now with the Indians, now Guardians, and it's been wonderful. It really has.
One of the things that I think is interesting, you mentioned it, the name change. How long did it take you to get to be the point of comfort? Because you're around it a lot more, and I still find myself in the mornings, if there's a news story or a sports story, every now and then it just slips out.
Spring training 2022 is a challenge, no question. Tom and I think we made it through spring training games, but we probably said Tribe or Indians several times because it's just so easy and it's what you're used to. But I think now it's second nature, and everyone's more comfortable with the name change. Certainly those of us who work for the team, for sure.
Give us an idea of your background in broadcasting. Where did you begin, and maybe some of the bigger steps that led you to Cleveland?
Well, 16 years in the minor leagues before coming to Cleveland. So I started with Cleveland's single-A club in North Carolina, Kinston, North Carolina, in the Carolina League, and then worked for another team in that league as well, and then the 11 in Buffalo, and then got to Cleveland here in 07. But I had worked in radio news before that out of school, so it was a nice transition to be able to get into baseball 5 years after college and working in radio, but not quite what I wanted to do. So the baseball part of it's been awesome. The time in the minor leagues was tremendous, and it's just been a great living for sure.
What happened? Because sometimes you hear, right place, right time, that sort of thing. How did you get the gig that you have right now with the Guardians?
For sure, right place, right time. But also connections and contacts from my time in Buffalo when they were a Cleveland farm team. You get to meet so many players, coaches in the organization, so that when there was an opening at the major league level, there's that familiarity, which always helps. And it wasn't a play-by-play opening initially. Initially, it was handling the pregame show and doing the engineering for the games for each of the home and road games. But it developed into an on-air role as well during the games, and a chance to work with Tom starting in 2010, I think, was the first year that I was able to do that. So it took a little bit, but well worth the wait, and a lot of fun times to get there, for sure.
Talk about the relationship you have with Tom Hamilton. I mean, you and Tom, your voices are synonymous with Cleveland baseball. I mean, we hear it every summer. I mean, it's a relationship that you build through the years.
Yeah, I mean, certainly during the baseball season, you see people around the club, especially the person you work with closely, more than you see your family. Just it's the nature of the game. So it's fun. We have a good time, and I see him a little bit during the off season when he's in town, and he'll come. I've been to his kids' games if they're whether it's basketball or whatever, and he'll come to my kids' games and things like that when they're playing youth sports. So it's a lot of fun, and we have a good time for sure.
One of the things I always think is funny when you go out and do an event, whether it's sports or anything, a lot of people think that when they're listening they hear you open up your broadcast, whether it's a high school game with us or a Guardians game with you, they think maybe you just magically got there. And then when the game's over and you sign off, they just think you're magically at home and everything. Mm-hmm. You do a lot of traveling, I'm assuming. And do you travel with the team and that sort of thing?
Yes, we travel with the team. So if they leave, say the last game of a homestand on a Sunday afternoon, they'll leave right after the game to go to the next city. We're on that plane with them, and we go to the hotels and the buses and all that kind of stuff. It was odd during COVID because we weren't allowed to do that. Everything was so different, but we got back on the road in the 2021 season about midway through, and it's helpful because I think those times when you're traveling and you see the players, whether it's at the hotel or on the plane or on the buses, you can talk to them about more than just baseball, and it gives you that comfort level with them. So that when you do need information and maybe, you need to talk to a guy who's slumping, they're more willing to talk about it, what they're trying to work on, things like that. And so it's a big part of the job for sure.
I'm assuming the conversations that you have maybe more frequent when you're on the road with the guys on the team and management and coaching.
Probably, yeah. I think that's fair to say because when you're at home, also there's more of the local media is around during the times that you have. There's set times that you have to go into the clubhouse and be on the field and things like that. It's a lot less crowded when you're on the road with the team. So it's a little bit easier to spend that time with them. Or maybe you see them in the morning if you're going to breakfast or something like that. And, there's players in the hotel lobby or whatever, and you just end up chatting. Or maybe even walking to the ballpark in towns where you can do that. So, yeah, it is a little bit easier on the road.
How cool, I mean, I don't know if how cool, that sounds like kind of like a fifth grade question or something, but I would think, I mean, the average fan may think like going to all these different ballparks is just the most incredible thing in the world. Does it ever get dull for you, or, I mean, does it become repetitive for you at any point, or?
It is cool. Like you said,
okay, there you go.
I know, like when I got this job, that was one of the things I was most looking forward to. I'd never been to Seattle or San Francisco or any of those places. And to be able to go there, even like this year we opened in Oakland. And, everyone talks about the Oakland Coliseum, worst ballpark in baseball, all that kind of stuff. But I love going there because it's different. And you saw it as a kid growing up when the A's had those great teams in the 70s and even the Raiders, when they were good. It's one of those places you saw on TV all the time. So to be able to go see it in person, yeah, that's a huge part of the job.
Whenever we go to a game, whether it be a football game, basketball, and that feeling when you walk into the arena, whether it's the gym, the field, or whatever, you walk through underneath the bleachers or whatever, the stands, and you see the field for the first time. For someone that doesn't go all the time, that's kind of that take your breath away moment. You walk in and you just kind of take it in like, this is really cool. Yeah. This is awesome. This is just what I thought it would be. You would get to experience that 162 times a year. I mean, does that ever get old for you, or does it still? Is it cliche to say that?
No, it doesn't. And I think we're so fortunate because our home ballpark's awesome. Love Progressive Field. They're making some changes to it, which Bobby D will get to in a little bit, but it's still one of the great ballparks in baseball. And when the team is good and there's big games and it's jumping, there's no place better. There really isn't. And it is fun to go to some of the old parks like Fenway and Wrigley Field, Dodger Stadium. And it is neat to see the field for the first time. Being the engineering guy that I am, I'm always curious about the booths. How's that booth going to set up and the view that we'll have. And so that's always fun to check that out for the first time. And even, as the years go by, you might be in a different booth at certain points, or maybe to make upgrades to a ballpark. So it's always changing, and that makes it fun.
Can I ask, favorite ballpark that you like to go to other than Cleveland? Do you have one, or do you have
the traditional ones for sure, Fenway and Wrigley? They're not always the most comfortable to work in because some of the stuff's, obviously older. I love going to Seattle. Great booth. If it starts raining, they throw the roof on. They can take the roof on and off. So that's always a good one. I always enjoy that.
Can I ask you the opposite side of that question? Are there any ones that you just kind of like, well, we'll just put up with it for these 4 games?
There are no bad ballparks in the major leagues.
Yeah,
there are
good
not.
answer, yeah.
There aren't. There really aren't.
I have a friend that's a longtime high school baseball coach, and whenever we'd get into a conversation, I'd always ask him something like, when I was talking about another coach, I'm like, is this guy a good guy? And he's like, Goobs, he's a baseball guy. They're all good guys. So good answer there. Yeah. So we are talking with Jim Rosenhaus for the next hour here live at JJ Winn's, and we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to start talking some baseball. We're going to talk about where the state of the game is, what we're looking for out of the Guardians this coming year. But we want to say a big thanks to our friends here at JJ Winn's for letting us come out here tonight. Big thanks to all of our sponsors as well: Maddox Men's Emporium, Best One Tire and Service, Jacobs Top Quality Meats, D&M Tire and Service, Amerimaid Realty, Diamond and Gold Jewelers, Toby Shirkey at Darryl Shirkey Ford, and Salmon's Services. We're talking with Jim Rosenhaus out here live at JJ Winn's. We're back with more after this.
Get ready for unbeatable deals on wheels at Darryl Shirkey Ford. Stop by Darryl Shirkey today and meet the go-to guy for all your automotive needs, Toby Shirkey. Whether you're looking for a sleek sedan, a rugged truck, or a family-friendly SUV, Toby has you covered. Toby's commitment to customer satisfaction is second to none. He's not just selling cars, he's building relationships. You can expect personal service and a stress-free buying experience. Don't miss out on the opportunity to drive home in the car of your dreams. Visit Toby Shirkey at Darryl Shirkey Ford in Montpelier today. Trust, transparency, and terrific deals. That's Toby Shirkey at Darryl Shirkey Ford.
For this Valentine's Day, avoid the crowded restaurants and come on in to Jacobs Top Quality Meats and enjoy freshly cut, heart-shaped ribeyes. Or for surf and turf lovers, 2 ribeye or New York strip steaks and 1 pound of their large cooked shrimp. Or 2 beef tenderloin fillets and 2 jumbo lobster tails. Chicken lovers will love their skinless, boneless trimmed chicken breasts or boneless thighs. Your one stop is Jacobs Top Quality Meats for every night and every special occasion.
D&M Tire and Service in Bryan understands that your vehicle maintenance is an investment. That's why D&M employs only ASE certified technicians that understand how to diagnose and fix the problem right the first time. D&M is so confident in their service of your vehicle, they offer a 24-month, 24,000-mile warranty of their work. Now that's service you can trust. Find them on the web at dnmtireandservicecenter.com or call today to set up your appointment. 419-636-9848. D&M Tire and Service on Mulberry Street in Bryan.
Do you dream of buying a home in 2024 but concerned because you don't have a down payment? Then you need to call Misty King of Amerimaid Realty and ask about the Welcome Home Funds grant program. Beginning March 1st, many local lenders will start rolling out this down payment assistance program, and you could get up to $20,000 to put towards your new home. But funds are limited, so you have to act fast. If you want more details, call Misty King at 419-633-4997. That's Misty King of Amerimaid Realty, 419-633-4997. Your hometown real estate pro since 2001.
This weather is hard on everything, including your precious jewelry. All the road salt and moisture, plus constantly putting your gloves on and taking them off, can damage the mounts that hold your mom's diamond. And the next thing you know, that diamond is gone. Don't let that happen to you. Head on over to Diamond and Gold Jewelers in Napoleon and let them examine and clean your jewelry for free. And while you're there, check out the Valentine's Day gifts that start at $25 and sign up for the beautiful diamond necklace they'll be giving away on Wednesday, February the 7th, just in time for Valentine's Day.
Visit us at Best One Tire and Service just north of Bryan on Main Street. They are your one-stop automotive stop for regular routine maintenance to major automotive repairs and tires. Their friendly, knowledgeable staff will help you get your vehicle back up and running. Visit Best One Tire and Service of Bryan, selling tires, serving people.
After a heavy-hitting holiday season, get a deep clean before you start your spring cleaning with Salmon Services. Get your carpet, rugs, and upholstered furniture deep down clean with the professional cleaning only Salmons can offer. Breathe new life into your home and keep allergens at bay with a professional cleaning of your tile, grout, and air ducts, too. With over 36 years experience serving Northwest Ohio, call Salmons at 419-630-7656. Salmon Services. They don't cut corners, they clean them.
Many car dealers want to sell you a vehicle today. At Bryan Ford Lincoln, we want you to be a customer for life. We know our relationship is just starting when we finalize your paperwork. Our award-winning service department will keep your vehicle trouble-free. Our sales and service staff will always be here for you if you have any questions. At Bryan Ford Lincoln, exceptional customer service is standard. We make the entire process easy. The Bryan Ford difference. We don't want to just sell you a vehicle today. We want you to be a customer for life.
The Maddox Men's Emporium is shopping like you've never seen. Located on the square in Bryan, they offer items ranging from men's apparel, shoes and accessories, to barware, specialty foods, and gift items. The Maddox brings incredible styles and quality products at affordable prices. But it's more than just the products they offer. The Maddox is also a shopping experience with a men's lounge area, complete with a couch, large screen TV, and shuffleboard table. So stop by the Maddox Men's Emporium on the east side of the square in downtown Bryan. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturday, 10 to 5.
What do we got?
And we welcome you back out to JJ Winn's here in Holiday City. We are live here on B-Rock. I'm Adam Gubernath, one of the voices of Cleveland Guardians baseball, Jim Rosenhaus, and nestled in between the two of us, Bobby D. I want to make sure I'm getting this right, Bob DiBiasio. Did I say that right?
DiBiasio.
DiBiasio. I was close enough. Close enough. So,
all right.
And I understand that you've been with the organization for just a tad.
A couple years.
A couple years. Couple plus.
2024 will be year 45. I started with the club in 1979.
Doing what?
Assistant PR director.
Okay.
And then was PR director, and then was vice president PR, and now I'm senior vice president of public relations. I did get fired when our first owner, Mr. O'Neill, as I said, in 1979 I began, got fired in June of 86 when our owner died, which is not that uncommon that PR people or general managers would be let go when an ownership changes. I went down and became the PR chief of the Atlanta Braves in 1987, and then Mr. Jacobs bought the Cleveland Ball Club and brought me back, and now the Dolan ownership. So I'm a local guy, Cleveland guy, so doing this for my hometown team, absolutely blessed.
And you were, from what I understand, also work with the Guardians Charities as well.
Yes, one of my duties is I'm president of Cleveland Guardians Charities. I wrote a check to a gentleman over here who won one of the 50-50 raffles. So he's the first guy
He's buying drinks for everybody because of that.
So it was years ago. He's already gone through all his money. So
but that's something that you were saying, because they do, for people that don't know, they do 50-50s.
At every ball game.
This isn't something they just do at high school games. They do it at the games, but you don't get to see who wins.
Nope.
You just send them a check.
I get a report from our accounting department with checks to sign and mail them out. And first person that I've ever met of a check that I actually
How big
signed.
Of a check was
this
it?
is the first time.
How big of a check?
Because when we met, he's like, "You signed a check for me," and I was like, "That had to be a 50-50."
That's awesome. Should he be buying everyone drinks here today?
No. As I said, that was years ago.
I'm sure he's invested it wisely and doing very well with it. Yeah.
Can I tell a 50-50 story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Our former manager now, Terry Francona.
Okay.
The year we're playing the Blue Jays in the American League Championship Series, we're in Toronto, and he has to go out to the mound for an early visit because it wasn't going well. And we look down, and guys are laughing on the mound, and the team's struggling. And after the game, Tito, what was going on? And they said he went out there, and to break the ice, he looked up at the scoreboard, and they had the 50-50 raffle where it was. At that point, it was like $100,000. And he's like, "Geez, guys, I forgot to put in money for the 50-50 raffle tonight." They all laughed about it. I think we went on and won the game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and Napoli was playing first, and he said, "Yeah, Skip, we got to get in on that." Nap was a big gambler, and he's like, "We got to get on that." And that story, the way Tito says it, is we had taken out our pitcher, the game wasn't going our way, and he could sense there wasn't the chatter when Lindor and Kipnis and Napoli came to the mound on a pitching change. There was all chatter, always upbeat, and there wasn't any of that. And so Tito said, "I'm going to have to do something here to get these guys back focused. They need to be loose and free and easy and having fun." And that's what he referenced. And that Toronto's 50-50 is the best in all of baseball. It gets up to probably 130,000, 40,000 every game.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just crazy.
Those Canadians, it's crazy.
Well, I said we were going to start talking some baseball, and I think you brought up maybe the top storyline, maybe heading in to the new season. Let's talk about Terry for a second here. Of course, Terry Francona, the manager for the Guardians, no longer. Talk about, we hear so many great stories. People just rave about Tito and what he meant not only to the club, to the city, to the sport. I mean, you got to deal and work with him on a daily basis.
Awesome to work with, one of the best in the game, a surefire Hall of Famer, 2 World Series and close to another one with us. Bobby D, maybe to tie it up for Terry Francona, what he meant because of his dad playing for the team way back when and what that meant for him to then manage.
It was incredibly special to have Tito's father walk into our clubhouse, the late Tito, and sadly his dad passed away a couple years ago. But 1959, 1964, 5, his dad was one of our star players, one of our heroes growing up with Rocky Colavito. And to have that connection back in our franchise, just so incredibly special. But when Tito Sr. would walk in the clubhouse, the players would just outpouring of love to him. And they'd sit with him and talk to him. And it made Terry feel so wonderful that his father, late in life, got this adoration and love from baseball community once again. Terry, longest tenured, winningest manager in the history of our franchise. The things that set him apart from Mr. Stephen Vogt, who Rosie will talk about, he's got to know him a lot better than I in this short period. But the things that have made Terry so incredibly special, service to others is one of the most important elements of any leader. Most leaders think it's all about them. It's not. It's about everybody else. And the great leaders understand that immediately. So service to others, Terry had in him, that he cared more about the security guard outside our clubhouse than he did himself. His players, his coaches, the clubhouse staff, the trainers meant more to him than anything he could bestow on himself. He embraced individuality. He could care less if Lindor had green hair one night or blue hair one night or wore chains or any of our guys.
Which he did probably every
time. Yeah.
Let's be honest.
So he didn't care about those things because he said the reason you're a big league player is there's something inside you that made you rise to be one of the 700 best baseball players in the world. And I'm not going to go about changing the clothes you wear or the music you should listen to or what color of hair you should have, but you better respect your teammates. You better show up on time. That was it. Now, underneath those two things, there's a whole lot of things about how you are as a professional athlete, how you need to go about your job with sleep, nutrition, etc. But show up and be prepared to do your job the best you possibly can be was what he was always about. So,
and when you'd hear people, players, interviews talk about him, I mean, you'd sometimes sit there and listen, and you're thinking to yourself, are they going to talk about his baseball now? I mean, because they always just talk about the kind of person he is,
right,
how he's always there for them, the relationships, and I guess that was probably one of his most important things.
Embracing personality, individual personalities, service to others, just absolutely two of the key elements of leadership, not just in baseball, but anywhere. And he really espoused those two things. I did an interview a month ago about Stephen Vogt, and after I did it, I felt like I cheated on Tito because I was talking about how great this young guy is, 39 years old. But Rosie, take it from here,
Jim,
he knows Stephen better than I.
All right, so let's talk about that. New manager this year, Stephen Vogt. I mean, he's got some big shoes to fill. I mean, Bobby could have probably talked about for the rest of the night about it, but that's kind of the role that he's got to fill this year.
Very much opposite end of the spectrum. No managerial experience. Just finished his playing career at the end of the 2022 season and then was a coach for the Mariners last year. Has never managed at any level. But obviously, if our front office, they interviewed 50 different candidates and came to the decision to hire Stephen Vogt after, tremendous amount of research and all that. He was in town for Guards Fest last weekend, our fan fest downtown, so we had a chance to do a bunch of different events with him and had a chance to get to know him a little bit. And the one thing that stood out, 10-year Major League veteran as a player, mainly as a catcher, which if you look at managers who win World Series, there's a lot of catchers.
Yes.
So that's good. But as he said, he was up and down a lot, and it took him a little while to reach the major leagues. He and his family, from the time he got into pro ball, minor leagues, on his way up through the major leagues, the move to Cleveland will be the 73rd move that his family has made.
Cow.
So he's been around a lot, has moved to a lot of different teams. And what he's also said is he knows he doesn't have experience. He knows there's things about this job that he doesn't know yet, and he's smart enough to ask questions about it and lean on our front office for that help, to help him make some decisions. Someone asked him about decisions, and he said, as a major league catcher, how are you going to do that in game? You've never done it. He goes, well, as a major league catcher, I had to make about 150, 160 decisions every game, calling pitches for my pitcher to make sure he's the best he can be. So a very small sample size, but he's going on that. I think he'll be fine. Do you ever really know until your team gets into the season? Of course not. What made Terry Francona so good, maybe at his best when the team was at its worst, going through a bad stretch. He was even-keeled, always showed confidence in his players, and that's hard to do when your team's not playing well.
I think one of the things we think about with all of our sports when we have a coach, are they put in a position to succeed? Do you feel that with the front office constructed like it is and the support system around him, do you feel that he's in a position to succeed this year, especially early on, knowing doesn't have any managerial experience?
Unlike most managers who get that first opportunity, he has a team that 2 years ago was in the postseason, and injuries, I think, were a huge key a year ago, and they just didn't play as well as they thought they would for many different reasons. But it's not like the farm system is in tatters and the team is coming off 5 straight losing seasons and they're trying to change the culture. The good culture and the way they do things is in place. It's just a matter of trying to make some subtle adjustments and maybe an addition or two between now and the start of the season to help that roster and put the best roster on the field. But it's not like he got a job because the organization was a mess.
Let's talk about the front office and maybe what they're looking to do going forward. We all see the headlines on ESPN and on our phones and everything. I mean, your big market teams make the big market signings, and if those players don't necessarily pan out, well, they just go basically buy someone new. Don't have that luxury when you're in basically the AL Central. Let's just be honest and call it what it is. I mean, let's talk about, because it seems like, for the most part, that the front office has made some really good decisions over the last few years.
Well, absolutely. I think our front office has done a remarkable job the last 11 years. One item on Stephen Vogt, his nickname other players have given him, I believe. That's his nickname. So you talk about a guy with an intensity and a personality wanting to do well. I believe is a pretty good nickname to have. But let me throw out one stat for you. The last 11 years, when we talk about the front office and how well they've done in with our franchise, with the economic realities that there are in the game of baseball today, the last 11 years, The winningest team with combined win-loss record is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They've won 1,000 plus games the last 11 years. They're the only team in baseball to win more than 1,000 games the last 11 years. Second on that list, with 940, is the New York Yankees. Number 3 on that list is the Houston Astros, with 922 combined wins the last 11 years. Number 4 in all of baseball on that list is your Cleveland Guardians at 921 wins. Houston has one more win than us the last 11 years. The Yankees, only 19 more wins than the Cleveland Guardians in the last 11 years combined. You know how much money they've spent more than us on players?
More than his 50-50 check.
More than his 50-50 check.
I don't know about that.
Well, that's
$1 billion more than us on payroll to get 19 more wins. Our front office knows what they're doing. Last year, we rolled the dice with Mike Zunino behind the plate, hoping to get some power from that, get a little offense from the catcher position. Josh Bell coming over, get a little more power from first base, right field, DH. It didn't work. And so we didn't have quite the season with the injuries to our top 3 starters. We didn't have quite the season we wanted, and it happens. Those kinds of seasons happen. But for the most part, we have a sustained winning culture at our franchise. It starts with the Dolan ownership and Chris Antonetti, Mike Chernoff, who run our baseball operations. They know what they're doing. And what the key element to it all is, it's all about the acquisition of talent. And this is no different than any business anybody in this room is in. Your business thrives when you acquire good, talented people. It's all about people. Once you acquire that talent, you have to develop it. And after you develop it, you have to give it an opportunity to shine, to give them the chance to do their thing. Our business and your business, no different. That's what we do. We acquire talent, we develop it, and then we give them an opportunity. Some guys rise, some guys don't. It's the nature of the beast in professional sports. But our guys know what they're doing.
We're talking Guardians baseball. We're going to take another break as we come to you live from JJ Winn's here tonight. When we come back, we're going to focus on the on-field product here in 2024. We'll hear what Jim and Bob think about the Guardians and what they're going to look like this year and as they relate to the AL Central. So don't go anywhere. We're live at JJ Winn's, and we're back with more after this.
This weather is hard on everything, including your precious jewelry. All the road salt and moisture, plus constantly putting your gloves on and taking them off, can damage the mounts that hold your mom's diamond. And the next thing you know, that diamond is gone. Don't let that happen to you. Head on over to Diamond & Gold Jewelers in Napoleon and let them examine and clean your jewelry for free. And while you're there, check out the Valentine's Day gifts that start at $25 and sign up for the beautiful diamond necklace they'll be giving away on Wednesday, February the 7th, just in time for Valentine's Day.
Many car dealers want to sell you a vehicle today. At Bryan Ford Lincoln, we want you to be a customer for life. We know our relationship is just starting when we finalize your paperwork. Our award-winning service department will keep your vehicle trouble-free. Our sales and service staff will always be here for you if you have any questions. At Bryan Ford Lincoln, exceptional customer service is standard. We make the entire process easy. The Bryan Ford difference. We don't want to just sell you a vehicle today. We want you to be a customer for life.
Visit us at Best One Tire and Service just north of Bryan on Main Street. They are your one-stop automotive stop for regular routine maintenance to major automotive repairs and tires. Their friendly, knowledgeable staff will help you get your vehicle back up and running. Visit Best One Tire and Service of Bryan, selling tires, serving people.
After a heavy-hitting holiday season, get a deep clean before you start your spring cleaning with Salmon Services. Get your carpet, rugs, and upholstered furniture deep down clean with the professional cleaning only Salmons can offer. Breathe new life into your home and keep allergens at bay with a professional cleaning of your tile, grout, and air ducts too. With over 36 years experience serving Northwest Ohio, call Salmons at 419-630-7656. Salmon Services. They don't cut corners, they clean them.
Shopping for the men in your life isn't always easy, but the Mad Ox Men's Emporium in downtown Bryan will help make it effortless. The Mad Ox offers men's apparel and accessories, including shoes, belts, pants, and shirts, ties, underwear, and denim. They also offer specialty food, decor, sunglasses, shaving accessories, a men's skincare line, barware, and more. The Mad Ox Men's Emporium is located on the east side of the square in Bryan, and they're open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 and Saturdays 10 a.m. to 5.
And we welcome you back out to JJ Winn's as we continue our evening with Jim and Bob here talking Cleveland Guardians baseball, all courtesy of Salmon Services. Toby Shirkey at Darrow Shirkey Ford, Diamond and Gold Jewelers, Amerimaid Realty, D&M Tire and Service, Jacobs Top Quality Meats, Best One Tire and Service, the Maddox Men's Emporium, Bryan Ford Lincoln, and of course our gracious hosts here tonight, JJ Winn's here in Holiday City, and nice round of applause for them. Good meal out here, and appreciate the hospitality once again. And so, all right, so we're going to get to some of our audience questions here in a bit as well. So, Jim, I'll start with you. 2024, what are we expecting out of our Guardians here this year?
Well, I think keys going in, every team in baseball is looking for, they love to start it with good starting pitching, and the Guardians have that. And last year, as difficult as it was because of injuries to the starting pitching staff, it opened the door for 3 rookies to have really fine seasons, and the optimism for all 3 is super high heading into this year. Plus, you have what you hope, and all indications are right now, Shane Bieber and Tristan McKenzie are healthy going into spring training. Hopefully they can stay that way throughout the year. There's some depth, though. They signed Carlos Carrasco the other day to maybe make a return engagement with the team, and there's some more good young arms coming because you'll need 7-8 starters over the course of the season at least. So starting pitching, I think they feel great about. The bullpen, in some ways, statistically didn't have the best year last year, but part of that is one-run games. They have 58 one-run games, which is a ton, and that means your back end of your bullpen is being used a lot, and it probably was overused last year, but you still like having Emmanuel Clase as your closer. They acquired Scott Barlow in the offseason for the Padres. Longtime major league back-end relief guy, and the setup relief guys are fine. Where are they going to find more offense? Obviously, you start with Jose Ramirez, one of the best in the game. Josh Naylor had a tremendous season a year ago. Stephen Kwan, steady hitter. Andres Jimenez can be solid. Behind the plate, they have a catcher who really came on the last 2 months of last season at the plate, and Bo Naylor. So there's some pieces there. Is there enough depth in their lineup to produce a lot more runs than they did a year ago? They were last in the league in home runs. That's a problem. And they were third from the bottom in total runs scored. So they need to remedy that.
I think you're hitting on some of these. You have like ESP or whatever they call it.
ESPN.
Yeah, exactly.
I have ESPN.
Well,
ESPN,
one of the questions was, who are they looking at for the starting 5 in the rotation? You kind of mentioned that. You talked about catching Austin Hedges. Where does he kind of fall into the mix this year?
Well, definitely a backup catcher. What we asked of Bo Naylor last year was probably unfair for a young kid that was drafted out of high school. Number 1, he was a number 1 draft pick. Incredibly talented, athletic, hardworking, determined young athlete, Josh Naylor's younger brother. And we threw him into the fire when we felt that the Zunino deal just wasn't working, and we had to release Mike. That opened up the opportunity for Bo Naylor to get a jump start on his big league career. We asked him, concentrate on running the pitching staff. Don't worry about what your batting average is. It really doesn't matter. Your job is to control the pitching game. And that's not easy for a young kid to call a game, learn the hitters, learn every one of these pitchers that he didn't have a whole lot of repetition with, experience with. First 100 at bats or so, he hit 202 or something like that.
It took him a while to get above 200.
Yeah. His next 160 at bats, he was one of the top offensive players in the game of baseball with an OPS on base and slugging almost at 900, which is an elite player. You get over 800 in OPS, you're a darn good ball player, and he was close to 11 homers. We really think this young man, in his first full season of the big leagues, is going to be a 20-plus home run guy, going to drive in runs. Rosie talked about Josh Naylor, had 97 RBIs and missed a whole month of baseball. He would have been a 120 RBI guy or 110 easily. One of the few in baseball that got over 100 or more RBIs. So,
you mentioned the fact that you've asked him to, and really all your catchers to manage the pitching staff. I'm assuming, right, Jim, that's where a guy like Stephen Vogt brings his experience. That's where he can be a very valuable asset to the club.
Him and Sandy Alomar Jr., one of the returning members of the coaching staff, has done wonderful work with whether it's a veteran catcher or a younger catcher like a Bo Naylor. One of the best in the game at teaching the position and really getting players to take a step forward defensively. He's remarkable.
And our bench coach,
Craig Albertaz, also a former catcher.
Former catcher.
Yeah, surrounded by catchers.
This kid is Bo is going to be in good hands with Austin Hedges in that clubhouse on a daily basis. And then obviously having Sandy Alomar as his coach. Stephen Vogt will probably get involved in some of the coaching because it's just his personality. He'll have more on his plate as the manager. But to have Sandy as the guy and then Austin Hedges in the clubhouse, Bo is in real good shape.
Let's talk offense a little bit. One of the questions from the audience, Guardian's going to have a power hitter for this year. Let's talk about, are we going to be able to drive some runs in this year? We're going to have some big bats in that lineup.
But Naylor would be one of your power bats. Jose Ramirez, one of your power bats. I'm sure I'm missing a couple. I thought it was interesting, Bobby D. During Guards Fest, Chris Valleca, the hitting coach, was in. One of the bright spots offensively, the Guardians struck out the fewest times in baseball last year. And I believe that's 2 years in a row. They've either been first or second. But Chris was saying, they're looking at, and they studied all the analytics that they could over the wintertime to see if maybe it's okay to strike out a little bit more if you're taking some more chances and trying to hit for more power. And maybe it comes at the expense of some more swing and miss, but you might get more benefits by hitting more home runs as a result. It's a fine line, and it has to be a hitter who is comfortable doing that. But there are some candidates throughout that lineup that they feel can hit for more power. They're strong enough. Just the way their swings and their approaches have been indicate more contact and singles. So how much of that do they want to sacrifice?
The game
it's really about generating runs.
Sure.
Not necessarily just swinging for the fences. We need to do a better job. The year before, our batting average with runners in scoring position was phenomenal. Last year, it dipped by 50 points at least. That was troublesome. We didn't generate the kind of runs because we didn't hit in the clutch like we did the previous year. Yes, one swing of the bat, you wish you had more power, but it's truly up and down your lineup. We need Andres Jimenez, best defensive player in the American League last year, as voted on. He won the Platinum Glove as the best defensive player in the entire American League. That's given to two players, one in the American League, one in the National League. We need him to get his stroke back. He was one of our clutch hitters in 2022. We need to get him back to that. But generating runs is what we need to do better. We don't need 58 one-run games.
Kind of along that line of generating runs. One of the big rules changes last year was you are limited how many times you can throw it to first, and we saw stolen bases go up.
Larger bases.
All that stuff to kind of generate a little more action for fans, that sort of thing. Guardians, did they take advantage of that last year, or is that something that they could improve on this year if they don't have maybe those big bats to drive in, maybe a little more manufacturing of the runs?
We were third in Major League Baseball in stolen bases. Fewest strikeouts, as Rosie said, third in stolen bases. So we did the things right. We were smart, put the ball in play. We ran aggressively on the bases. We just couldn't translate enough runs crossing the plate. And that's where, believe me, our analytics, the video guys, the coaching staff have worked hard all winter to try to answer that question.
So while you mentioned analytics, I'll ask you both. Jim, analytics guy?
No. I mean, I shouldn't say no. I mean, it's a part of the game, and it's interesting.
It's a balancing act, though, isn't it? You want to understand the numbers and play to those numbers, but at the same time, I mean, you kind of have to go with your gut sometimes.
Yes, and I think that's what made Tito so good, is that he was able to blend both. And when I say no, just like from a fan standpoint, I'd rather hear stories about guys than what their WCR plus is and things like that. And there's value to that for the players, for sure. And they want the information now. So it's really, really an important part of the game. So just from a fan standpoint,
sure.
How they get there, whatever, they'll do what they need to do.
You guys okay with the way they eliminated that shift, too? Because as a fan, there's nothing worse than seeing one of your guys up there getting ready to hit, and the entire team is on the right side of the infield, and then he just hits it right to him, like in shallow right field, and they throw him out at first.
Softball.
Oh, my God.
It was horrible. Our game was horrible and needed all these changes. Our game was nothing but strikeouts, home runs, and walks, and it was boring.
And ground outs to shallow right field.
Yeah, a line shot to one hopper to right field, get thrown out at first. Just horrible. So baseball needed to act. They implemented all the rules, pitch clock, larger bases in the minor leagues so that players down there could get accustomed to it, that players, managers, coaches, umpires could give feedback on what was working and not working before they implemented it at the big league level. So we did it right. Universally applauded throughout baseball, which in my 46 years, never anything did our whole industry, from players, media, etc., come together on a consensus on anything. This one they did. They loved the pitch clock. Games were a half hour quicker in the pace of play. None of this walking around the mound, stepping out of the batter's box, all of that nonsense.
Jim, as a broadcaster, was it more enjoyable? Did you? You're cutting the game down by about a half an hour.
It definitely, there was a better flow to it and a better pace to it. And I think where you really noticed that we had an hour 51 game early in the season at Detroit. That might have been a little too fast. But on the flip side, a high-scoring game, like a 10-9 game, would be about 3 hours and 10 minutes, where maybe in the past is close approaching 4 hours. And I think most fans, about 3 hours is their limit. A lot of fans leave at
we as
3 hour
fans
mark.
are impatient. Yeah. We want to see action. We want it now. We want to move on to the next thing.
Let me just make one comment about analytics. If you don't utilize it, you're foolish. It's there. We have the technology. We have sports science. So if you ignore that, you're going to put yourself behind the eight ball. The sports science part, broken down as intricate as a kid in the minor leagues wearing a vest out at practice. And in that vest, there's a little chip that goes into the back of the vest. And it will document how fast that kid could go from center field to right center to catch a baseball. And in addition, what muscles was he using? How much dehydration occurred throughout the day, so that our trainers and strength coaches can take that information and build a better player. Let's get back to basic elements of analytics. 3rd and long, 40 years ago in football, they passed the ball, right? That's analytics. That's analytics. It's just basic analytics. But that's analytics. 2-0 count. What's a pitcher going to, or an 0-2 count 50 years ago? What's the pitcher going to throw? Low breaking ball away. That's analytics. So we've always had it. Now it's smarter people entering it into a computer, where smarter people, the intricacies of it, we have people who create the software, all camera angles on a swing. There's a knob you put on the end of your bat to get your bat plane analyzed, the speed of your bat, so that, again, the trainers and coaches can look at that and say, you've got a little bit more of a hitch than you should to be able to get that bat on a nice flat plane to drive the ball. So you need people to create that software. You need people to download and understand the software to a point where you can translate that to the coaching staff, so then the coaching staff can translate it to the players. It's not just roll the balls out on the field and the best talent rises. That's a disservice to teams like us that can't go and spend $40 million, $70 million on a player like Shohei Ohtani. We need all of that to be the best we can be.
We've come a long way from just make sure your back elbow is up and keep your hand on the ball, right?
Exactly.
We're coming to you live from JJ Winn's. We're going to take one more time out. When we come back, we're going to talk about maybe predictions for this coming year and kind of wrap things up with Jim and Bob as we're live at JJ Winn's on B-Rock. More to come after this.
D&M Tire and Service in Bryan understands that your vehicle maintenance is an investment. That's why D&M employs only ASE certified technicians that understand how to diagnose and fix the problem right the first time. D&M is so confident in their service of your vehicle, they offer a 24-month, 24,000-mile warranty of their work. Now that's service you can trust. Find them on the web at dnmtireandservicecenter.com or call today to set up your appointment. 419-636-9848. D&M Tire and Service on Mulberry Street in Bryan.
Looking for something unique for your dinner tonight? Try Wagyu beef from Jacob's Top Quality Meats on State Route 66 just north of Defiance. What is Wagyu beef, you may ask? It's a wonderful combination of taste and tenderness of highly marbled beef from the Wagyu cow that makes for an unrivaled eating experience, plus is healthier for you than other beef. You need to take a short drive to Jacob's Meats and pick up a steak, roast, or any cut of Wagyu beef you would like and experience it for yourself. But that's not all Jacob's has. They have everything else you need to make your meal fantastic. Jacob's Top Quality Meats on State Route 66, your first choice. Get ready for unbeatable deals on wheels at Darryl Shirkey Ford. Stop by Darryl Shirkey today and meet the go-to guy for all your automotive needs, Toby Shirkey. Whether you're looking for a sleek sedan, a rugged truck, or a family-friendly SUV, Toby has you covered. Toby's commitment to customer satisfaction is second to none. He's not just selling cars, he's building relationships. You can expect personal service and a stress-free buying experience. Don't miss out on the opportunity to drive home in the car of your dreams. Visit Toby Shirkey at Darryl Shirkey Ford in Montpelier today. Trust, transparency, and terrific deals. That's Toby Shirkey at Darryl Shirkey Ford.
Do you dream of buying a home in 2024 but concerned because you don't have a down payment? Then you need to call Misty King of Amerimaid Realty and ask about the Welcome Home Funds grant program. Beginning March 1st, many local lenders will start rolling out this down payment assistance program, and you could get up to $20,000 to put towards your new home. But funds are limited, so you have to act fast. If you want more details, call Misty King at 419-633-4997. That's Misty King of Amerimaid Realty, 419-633-4997. Your hometown real estate pro since 2001. And we are beginning to wind down here at JJ Winn's. Jim and Bob with the Cleveland Guardians. We're continuing on and kind of putting the wraps on this. Nice to have them spend some time with us here. As you were saying, what, a couple weeks, Jim, until pitchers and catchers have to show up?
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today,
crazy.
58 days till opening day, March 28 at Oakland.
Just keep saying it. It just makes you feel warmer
And
right
69 days until our home opener on April 8th at Progressive Field when the eclipse will happen.
now. I want to get to our last question from the audiences and something, Bob, that you were going to kind of talk about. When the stadium is done renovating, what is the capacity going to be?
Our capacity when all the renovations, some will be done by opening day 2024. Some will be done not until opening day 2025. For example, next year when you see our ballpark, we're going to have, I'm wearing a midnight navy blue Guardians pullover. The lower bowl will have midnight navy blue seats. The upper deck will still have the green ones. We aren't able to do the whole ballpark, changing the seats completely. By opening day 2025, the whole building will be midnight navy with seats. Those seats are 30 this is year 31 of our ballpark. The renovations mostly in the upper deck. We haven't touched the upper deck in 30 years. Those fans who like to sit up there, and added social gathering spaces, a new group outing space. It's going to be beautiful. Go to our website, cleguardians.com, and there's video and some still renderings of what the park's going to look like. So check it out. It's going to be beautiful for the next 30 years of fans.
All right, Jim, let's start with you as we look ahead to this coming season. Where do you see the Guardians? There's my slip for the night. Where do you see the Guardians?
Pretty good. You almost did it.
$5 in the
What-
jar.
Exactly. Trust me, I owe a lot more in there. So where do you see Cleveland fitting into the AL Central, and what's the biggest question mark and maybe the biggest hurdle they'll have to clear to maybe get to that point this year?
I think question mark certainly would be offense. Can they get more offense than they did a year ago? In terms of where they are, Adam, I got to be honest with you, I struggle at this time of year to say, because 2 years ago, if anyone would have predicted that team would have made the postseason at this time of year, I think a lot of people would have said, no, that can't happen. It just won't. And they did. And then last year, there was a lot of high expectations and hopes, and they had a disappointing season. So it's so hard with, you never know how healthy your team is going to be throughout the year. You don't know what other teams are going to be breakthrough teams and things like that. So I think we'll be better than we were a year ago. Where that puts us in the division, I have no idea.
It's nice to be in a division, though, that you have so much unknown. Because let's be honest. I mean, you go out west, for example, the NL West. I mean, we know who's going to be there. I mean,
Your expectation.
exactly.
that
AL
the
Central,
Dodgers,
you
yeah.
can put, I know Minnesota's been a nice little run, but, I mean, it seems like all five. Throw them in a hat and let's see what happens.
Yeah, and most have made moves in the offseason, some more than others. What's encouraging, though, just seeing a lot of the players in town last weekend, nobody's talking about Cleveland in the division as far as winning the division. It doesn't seem on a national level, and our players love that. They all said to a man, it's like, that's fine by us. We'll just fly under the radar, and it's what happened 2 years ago, and there's enough of that team still around that feels they can do it again.
Bob, biggest question mark heading into this year, and where are they going to slide in the AL Central?
Consistency of our bullpen. If our bullpen stays the way it was in 2022, the curious case of Emmanuel Clase. Here's a guy that had 44 saves, most in all of baseball. Only man in baseball last year to have back-to-back seasons of 40 saves. Nobody in baseball had 40 saves other than Emmanuel last year. He also led the league with 23 blown saves, or 12 blown saves. Yeah, the team had 23. He had 12, which is why Scott Barlow, who's had almost 60 saves the last 3 years, is coming to add some depth to the back end of the bullpen. Our bullpen needs to have, especially the back end, consistency. I think we're going to win our division because we have the best starting pitching. The Tigers have been on a nice little uptick, after having some really horrible years in succession. Their draft picks have started to come, like Baltimore's, put them in a position, a little bit of Kansas City. The White Sox, they're just dysfunctional. The Twins are selling off their club. They had like us, middle market teams can get to 150. So their payroll last year was 154. Our highest in 2017 was 155. And then you got to start coming down because ownership, if you don't attract more than 2 million fans, that's an automatic $40 million cash loss in the season, and that's some real money. So they're selling off their guys, even though they have some good young players. We find a way to generate a little bit of offense. I think we can win our division.
Well, we're looking forward to it nonetheless. Bob, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Thank you. You're
sir.
the type
Nice
of guy
to
I
meet
think
you.
we could sit next to at the bar at the beginning of the night, and then you pause for a minute, we look at the clock, and it's closing time already. And we've had a good talk about
Thank
the
you,
baseball,
sir.
and
Thank
you're
you.
a good ambassador.
Thank
Keep up the
you.
good work. Jim, I hope you understand that your voice is the soundtrack, you and Hammy, the soundtracks of our summer. I mean, in this area across the state, Guardians fans, they know when they hear your voice, they don't even need to know what's going on. They know that they're hearing baseball, and that's a credit to you guys. I mean, we look forward to it, and it sounds like, and just by the short time we've had to talk here tonight, you have a passion for what you do, and it comes through, and we enjoy it. So
very, very much appreciated, and we're ecstatic. We just renewed our contract with WBNO, and excited to be on our westernmost affiliate station again for the next couple of years. So excited to be here again.
Well, big thanks to both Jim and Bob for spending some time with us here tonight. Want to say thank you to everyone here at JJ Winn's for the hospitality. Such a good host here tonight. Big thanks to all of our sponsors who helped make this night possible, including Toby Shirkey at Darrow Shirkey Ford, Diamond and Gold Jewelers, Salmon Services, Amerimaid Realty, D&M Tire and Service, Jacob's Top Quality Meats, Best One Tire and Service, Maddox Men's Emporium, and Brian Ford Lincoln. 2 weeks until pitchers and catchers. How many days until opening day?
58.
And how many days till the home opener?
69.
It'll be here before we know
Yes,
it.
sir.
So, all right. So thank you again tonight to both of you. Thank you for listening at home, and for those that came out here tonight on your home of Cleveland Guardians baseball, 100.9 B-Rock. Good night, everybody.